Hello! Today we're going to be talking about something called lower of cost or market. In accounting, we generally adhere to something called the cost principle, which means that any assets the company purchases should be listed in the accounting records at the historical cost paid to receive the asset. Lower of cost or market is one exception to the cost principle and applies specifically to the asset of merchandise inventory. Lower of cost or market recognizes that sometimes we purchase inventory at one amount, let's say $20 per unit, and later the market price decreases to a lower amount, let's say $15 per unit. In an example like this, we would say that the market value or replacement value of the inventory is lower than the historical cost. Since the market value is lower than the historical cost, the company would be required to adjust the value of the inventory down from the $20 per unit cost to the $15 per unit market price to be in line with lower of cost or market. As you can see here, we have a variety of products, and we have the number of units that we have in inventory of each product, the cost per unit that we paid, and the current market value per unit. So our first step will be to calculate the total cost and the total market value. So to find the total cost for rings, our first product, we will take the number of units, which is 1, and multiply that by the cost per unit. So 1 unit at $3,000 cost equals a total value for our cost of $3,000. We can do the same thing for the market value. We'll take the number of units, but this time we will multiply that by the market value per unit to give us $4,400 of a total market value for rings. We can continue the process for necklaces. Take the number of units, 12 necklaces, multiplied by the 900 cost per unit that we paid. That's a $10,800 cost for necklaces. And the current market value is going to be 12 necklaces times $800 per necklace is $9,600. Now you can continue this process for the following 4 items, but I'm just going to speed this up here. You can pause the video and do that on your own if you'd like. But you should get the following amounts for the remaining products. Now there are a few different ways you could apply lower of cost or market. One way would be to apply it to your entire inventory. And what I mean by that is you'll take the total cost column, add all those numbers up, take the total market value column, add all of those numbers up, determine which number is smaller, and that's your lower of cost or market value. Another way, which is the way we're going to be doing in this video, is to apply lower of cost or market to each individual item. So for example, to rings, to necklaces, to arrows, etc., for all the different items. So the way we do this is first we look at the rings, we look at the total cost, we look at the total market value, and then we decide which one is smaller. In this case, it's the total cost. And we copy that value over to the lower of cost or market column. Then we can move on to the necklaces. And in this case, the total market value is smaller than the total cost. So we can copy that one over to the lower of cost or market column. And you can continue to do this for all the rest of your products. Alright, the next step is to total up our total cost column and our lower of cost or market columns. So first we can total up our total cost and then the total of the lower of cost or market. You don't really need a total for the total market value, so don't worry about calculating that one. Alright, now that we have our totals, let's think about what these numbers mean. So first, the $26,100, which is our total cost, that represents the total amount of money that the company paid for all of this inventory. Now this $23,200 is the value we want to write our inventory down to after we've applied lower of cost or market. So the easiest way to see this is to use a T account for merchandise inventory. And we are saying right now our inventory balance is $26,100 on the debit side since that's an asset. And our goal is to get to a balance of $23,200. So that would be our balance of $23,200. Now we're going to have to apply a journal entry, an adjustment to merchandise inventory for the amount of the difference between these two numbers on the credit side to get to the desired balance. So the way we can do that is we can take 26,100 and subtract 23,200, And that tells us we need to have a credit to merchandise inventory for $2,900. All right, the final step is going to be to do the adjusting entry related to this $2,900 difference. So if we scroll over here, remember we have to do a credit to merchandise inventory for $2,900. That's what the right-hand side tells us. So we put merchandise inventory in here, and we credit that for $2,900. And then we need another account to debit, and that's also going to be for $2,900. And we need an expense account that's related to inventory, and well, you might remember that account is called cost of goods sold. Okay, so that completes our journal entry to adjust our inventory from the $26,100 original cost down to the lower of cost or market balance of $23,200.